Hi, I'm Edward Gomez. I'm an art critic and art historian based in New York. And I'm terribly sorry I can't be with you in Atlanta today, but I'm delighted to be with you like this by video, and with Wendy Snyder, who's bringing a presentation about the art of Sam Glankoff to you in person. I've had the pleasure of working with Wendy in the Sam Glankoff archives over the past several years, doing research about the career and biography, the life history of this extraordinary American artist who died in the early 80s. Since that time, Sam Glankoff's art has become much better known. He was an eccentric loner in his lifetime and really did not step out and take part actively in the movement of his time, which was, of course, abstract expressionism. But that's not to say that he was not developing on his own, in very innovative ways, techniques and materials that with which he created his own language of abstract expressionism, which was deeply personal. His own language and his own methods of making abstract paintings. In recent years, an interesting phenomenon has occurred, and that is more room is being made in the art historical canon of abstract art of the classic period from the early 20th century through the late 50s. More room is being made for lesser-known artists like Glankoff, who left behind considerable bodies of work, important bodies of work that are still being examined and documented. And the more we learn about artists like Glankoff, the more we understand just how diverse and complex and rich the history of abstract expressionism in the United States in particular really was. So Sam has earned his place, and that place is becoming more pronounced the more we examine his work. Of particular interest is the fact that Sam Glankoff made works on paper that had characteristics of painting and of prints at the same time. For a long time, particularly in the early 80s when his work was really emerging, it was misunderstood. And that's because in the early 80s, the dominant trend of the moment was so-called neo-expressionist painting. It was a very vigorous, sometimes violent kind of painting that rediscovered the human figure and mixed it up with brushy, abstract strokes. And it didn't really last that long. And the discovery of Sam Glankoff's work, its emergence in the early 1980s, sort of went against this tide. What's interesting, though, is that nowadays, not only is there an increasing interest in artists of Sam's generation and what they were doing in the field of abstract expressionism, but also there's a very keen interest and even a sense of excitement surrounding works on paper. That includes drawings, prints, and unusual paintings on paper like those that Sam made. So, in effect, the art world and the art market and the critical establishment have finally caught up with this extraordinary body of work. And that's where we are today. The research continues, and the critical dialogue between Sam's work and work of his generation continues as well.